And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Well, hello and welcome. It is Christian. Welcome to 100 Watts and a Wire. We are on episode 372. It is Sunday, fun day, and your boy is back in the studio. It feels good to be back in, be back home. New York is a great, great city. I love it. Great history. Forget about all the stuff that people get wrapped up in. It's usually all the politics. You could just sink old California and sink old New York. And, it's kind of, that's my impression of the folks that will poo-poo on places based on the politics or maybe. But what great history. And I just love the city. I'm a city kid, was born and raised in the city. So getting around, seeing the different things, the different history. And it's such a big city that you can kind of find something new every time you're there. And I think that's cool. It gives you a reason to want to come back or create a theme, that sort of thing. But anywho, it is nice to be back home at the homestead. Steve is here. Scotty is here engineering. He is in the sound truck, Steve, down the road. Apparently, we can't let him close to the area now. He's got a sound truck of his own. He wanted us to establish his own rig. So he's got sort of this RV thing, and he's got the Mark from our community, who spent his career as a limo driver. He drives this thing around.
Oh, he has a personal driver too. Oh, wow.
Look, and I'm sorry. I want to apologize to Steve first. I took away your therapy fish. You had a goldfish on your rider. It helped you. All of a sudden, I'm like, we got to get rid of this, this sort of, what do they call that, Steve? It's a
perk. It was kind of a,
He had a fish. It was a little
fish
bizarre,
because it's, nuts and butts. He had, front row, marquee billing, and I had nothing.
You needed a fish. It's sort of like
I needed a fish, and then nuts and butts comes and eats the fish. So the fish is gone, and I hope your cat is happy there, Scotty.
I think he likes his cat to be called Willie. But
Willie, it's
you
more
may
nuts
sense
and
a little
butts.
tension here on the staff, and I'm trying to keep things balanced. People have these little dogs that they'll bring into the building, and they'll say, "Look, it's my dog. It makes me feel good. I have
therapy dog, my emotional dog."
Emotional. Well, Steve asked for a goldfish, so for years it's been a new goldfish because they friggin' die every weekend. I don't know if he pours a little bourbon in for them. I think he likes them to live a life, and then they die, and then they're in there.
Try some of this IPA.
They drip a little IPA, the fish dies, and the next week there's another fish. A person has to go out and get a new fish. Anyway, it's a therapy fish.
And then the last one got eaten by nuts and butts, and it's all over and done with.
So you can
AKA Willie
tension in the crew here because Willie is not named Nuts and Butts, but when he makes an appearance on the live stream, which we do Sundays at 6:00, everybody's listening is welcome to join us. He usually puts his nuts and his butts right up into the camera. So Steve is referencing him that way. But welcome, guys. Scotty down in the new sound truck, the RV with a driver. I know it's causing a little tension, but we'll get through it here. These engineer types, they need it a little bit. Hello, Steve. How's things going for you, sir?
Going good. It's going real good. nice weekend, and kind of enjoying the little downtime. It's been a really hectic week this past week.
Is it me, or has it seemed so hectic? Like before I went on vacation, which has its own kind of hectic. I think sometimes you need a vacation from your vacation. It felt like that toward the last couple of days, although they were beautiful in New York City. The ones before that were crazy hot. I mean, melt. Ugh, I don't even want to go outside type of thing. But before vacation, it just seems like business has been picked up. And I don't know if I don't know for you, I don't know if it really matters for your line of work past, pandemic type of stuff. But for us, in events and that sort of thing. We've definitely picked up. Why have you picked up so much, or is this kind of normal? Or it just feels like you are so busy?
Well, this week I'm down one guy. So, and then for next week, I'm down one guy. So I'm pretty much covering everything here in the eastern part of the state. And then we had one of the rare storms that rolled through western Washington, quite a lot of lightning activity, and it took out some equipment. And one of my other guys was losing his mind on how to deal with it. And so I've been spending a lot of time on the road, going back and forth. And Friday, I thought I was going to have an easy day, and nope, another 3-hour trip out to the into the hinterlands, and then couldn't drive through the wheat field because everything is all dry, ready to harvest. So put on the backpack and start hiking into the radio site to take care of a small problem. So, and then another 3-hour drive back. So 6 hours of driving for 20 minutes worth of work.
Well, he's a foreman on his job, so he usually points and tells those young bucks what to do.
I lost my shovel.
Get up there.
Foreman, we lean on
shovel. Can you get
but
my
I
shovel
lost
for me?
it. So.
I'm losing my balance here in this unsettled soil of this field. Can you go get my thing and then go 80 feet up there? Thank you. A little short in terms of manpower. They've got you out there running the game. Steve is everybody's Elmer. He began as probably some others, but here with 100 Watts and a Wire, he's certainly been my Elmer. Oh, I'd say we're probably creeping up on about 10 years, sir. I don't know. Maybe this is our 7th season, so probably 7. I'll say 7, but everybody's.
But we're getting there. We're getting close to 10, so
for
it's
sure.
there.
If you have a question for anybody here tonight, put a Q in the chat and let us know what's on your mind. You can ask pretty much anything. Scotty in the broadcast vehicle, he's our engineer here in the broadcast RV, and I'm sure it's air conditioned, but not to piss Steve off. It's a tricky balance. We can't.
Well, when he moves up to the 53-foot trailer, then that has the full-on studio and a bunch of roadies and things like that, and then we might have to have a chat after that.
Okay,
things might get a little uglier then.
Yeah, we need a little more of your vocal mic though. In the stream, Scotty, you're just a touch too low. Saying hello to our friends. James is here tonight. We have a couple of James. We have Kilo India 5 Oscar Echo Bravo. Hello to you. We have James, who is KG5 LTL. He's hanging out tonight. Some other mainstays are here as well. We appreciate a TX Radio DX. That's Kilo India 5 Sierra Hotel Yankee. I like that. KI5 Shy. I would be using that at all of the places. He says, good evening, gentlemen. It's nice to see you as well. Greg is here. Don, who you may hear about as we do our live coverage after the live podcast. He'll be running on 20 meters, I imagine. He is here. Greg is here. Hello, Big Ben, everybody. Mark is here. Mark has come out of retirement to drive Scotty's rig around. But it all ends with Scotty just says, Christian needs that sound. He's got to have the Neumann, and I need an RV to make Christian sound good. And it always comes down to, he's right. Sorry. He's right. We need that.
The vintage Neve console and the recording truck. And
that was a little pricey. I wasn't sure we needed that, but
Pultec tube equalizers. So,
nice.
Is he loud enough, Steve? Tell the truth. Is he loud enough?
And it's come up.
Still? How about now?
Oh,
how's that? How you doing?
How you doing, baby?
How you doing? Now listen to him. How you doing? You just get him in Philly. When we get the show on the road and we get to Philly, it's how you doing? Or Jersey. We get southern parts of Jersey. Tonight we are talking about, and this was Steve's idea because I was on the road and doing lots of stuff, and I appreciate all the help and the thoughts and the input. You can do it too. Let us know topics you'd like to discuss here on the show. And by all means, we will certainly talk about that. But Steve said, maybe we could talk about, one thing that you would change if you could about the hobby. One thing you would change. So give us your answers tonight while you're here as we're recording the live podcast. Again, everybody's welcome to join us 6 o'clock Central Time We do the live show, and having you here is nice for us. What's one thing you would change about the hobby? So that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit tonight. I do want to report that the repeaters in New York City, we talked about it last week, they didn't pick up, man. And it was kind of like if I hit it just right in the morning, I might hear this guy who seems to talk to his buddy briefly, and that's it. And I'm like, man, and I clicked through probably maybe five or more repeaters, and I just didn't get it. And I'm thinking, man, this is pretty rough for the biggest city in the country. And we hit on it last week if you want to hear us talk about it in detail. But it didn't get any better, Steve. I thought maybe I was just talking too soon, and I had another full week, another 5 days or whatever it was there. Biggest city in the world, very hard to put an HF antenna up anywhere.
Yeah.
And the repeaters aren't there. And I don't want to read into too much now, but I don't know. I think like that's a lot of people's options living in big cities like that is the repeaters. And
but it's not just limited to just the big cities. It's not just limited to New York. It's pretty much all over the country. It's a common theme that I've been hearing over the last couple of years that repeaters are dead. I could see maybe one area, but it's just more and more people are saying that, yeah, it's kind of died down. And then there's others areas where they're very active. So it's kind of a hit and miss. Back in the 80s and stuff like that, and 90s, it was, you couldn't find an unused repeater that wasn't blaring and barking and going at it, and people were just really engaged. But now it just seems like everyone's either busy or they're all listening and no one wants to talk. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, I've been thinking about Scotty's brother who's coming in new. My brother was going to be testing or at least studying. Sometimes life gets in the way, and but you all start at that technician level, which isn't some lowly level, by the way, guys. We don't ever look at anybody with a license as being only a technician, although that comes out sometimes. We say, well, they're only a technician. But that's not, if that's part of your interest in the hobby and that's as far as you want to go, that's definitely cool with us here. But people getting in, they kind of need that. And we talked about that on last episode. So if you want to go back and hear a discussion about the repeaters in New York City and general, go back and check out, what are we on? Episode 372 this week. So go back to 371 and listen to us talk about it. I don't know how you change it. And I think Repeaters is a show that we could do. That's tricky because ownership of repeaters can get dicey too. I don't know. Are they very expensive, Steve?
Oh yeah, they can add up. It's not uncommon to drop $5,000-$6,000 onto a system, and then you have your reoccurring costs. If you're into a lease facility, you got to pay that monthly rent and or electricity. So there's ongoing costs, and then it's just like any other amateur radio station, whether it's this station here at my house or yours or out on a mountaintop or a remote site. It's a sizable investment when it comes to the equipment, and it adds up.
And so does it seem to you, I mean, we're really being general here and we can't speak for everything, but is it because some folks pay part and parcel or most of the money for the maintenance, for the repeater, to put it up and taking all care of all the logistics? Do they get territorial?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, some guys, they will pay everything. I've known, fellow repeater owners that they paid it all, and they refused to take any financial help from anybody. They just wanted to pay for everything. And then at the same time, they kind of got into a little dictatorial on it. and right. I mean, and they're right, because it's their equipment, it's their station, and everything. But on the same token, it's like I'm opening up this repeater and I'm allowing everybody to use it, but then I'm telling you how to use it, and it's like, okay, that's that fine line. Are you telling them because they're violating Part 97, or you're telling them because you just want to be a douche and you're on a power trip? So it varies. Then there are repeaters that take, that clubs operate, and membership pays for that. There's repeater associations that just strictly, they're a club and that's all they do. They focus and they maintain the repeater and all the operating costs. There's, those can be closed or private, and to where they say only, select few, you got to pay to play. But that's, that varies from, system to system. So it's, people get upset over that. They kind of go, all repeaters should be open. And it's like, then, is your ham radio station, your personal station, open at 3 a.m. in the morning? So someone can walk through the door and walk into your shack and start operating? No, you don't want them coming in your house. Well, the equipment is theirs. And that's another, it gets into a big bailiwick and stuff.
Is there any burden of, if you could get in trouble if some jabronis got a little strange in their language, and you own the repeater and they were on it one night and some came along and reported some strange things? Is there any ownership potentially, where you could get yourself in trouble if the people aren't acting right?
What goes through the repeater, it still falls onto the originating person station. Okay. So you're just kind of, no, I don't think legally you are. And this is, I got to really think about this one. I know technically the technical aspects of it, if you've got, spurs or spikes that are coming outside the band or, causing issues there, yes, you're technically responsible. But for the traffic that's going through it, you're really not responsible for it. The originating station is, but any good repeater owner is going to say, hey, that nonsense, those jabronis, we're gonna cut you out. We're gonna, remove your toy and shut it down. But ultimately, the repeater owner is not going to be, or trustee is not going to be held liable for, what another station. So if Scotty got a little rambunctious on my repeater and I didn't shut it off, then Scotty is ultimately responsible for it. I'm responsible for the technical operations of it. But if, Scotty was a jabroni, then just like, to heck with you, nuts and butts, and Scotty, you're done.
Oh, out of here. Okay, I see it's a little salty. We're moving into
Still
the
love you,
deep
buddy.
part of summer, but
Somebody's got a bone to pick.
holy moly! From the 100 Watts in a Wire audio bus.
Right now.
We'll check in with Scotty here in just a little bit, talk about some contests. But first, this week in Radio Steve, you remember this, 1967, we were racing off the southern coast of Chile. We were on the motorbikes and winning. But on the 14th, in 1967, U.S. government's the Marine and Broadcasting Offenses Act comes into force, closing down most offshore radio stations. No more pirate stuff for you, y'all. Now, this was slightly before our time. I'll admit we were not around, kicking it around this time. But on the 15th in 1794, the first semaphore telegraph announced victory of France over Austria. You got that one, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
1794. There you go. 1982. Now, we were getting along pretty well back in 1982. Had won 25 years worth of sidecar motorbike racing. The first audio CDs are manufactured. Boy, we could really get in the weeds talking about CDs and MP3s and all of that. A recording of Richard Strauss's Alpine Symphony, first audio CDs manufactured. Kick it. And on the 18th, in 1934, FCC issues the first FM construction permit. The W1XOJ in Boston, the station signed on in 1941 as WGTR. WGTR. What you got, Scotty? What you going to say?
Oh, GTR. That's an abbreviation for guitar in the studio world.
Guitar. So you would maybe make some masking tape and line out your board, the Neve board, and write.
It would be GTR. Yes, sir.
All right. Very good. Hey, be sure to check out Hour 73. We are really considering going with the live streams, and that would be tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. I'm not sure. I think there'll be at least 3 of us. I'm waiting to hear back from the guest. Sometimes guests can be temperamental and be like, I don't want to live stream. I don't know about that. And my makeup, and I need all this stuff. And now we need another bus. Just one bus or no guest. But check out Hour 73. We're exploring self-reliance from the old days to today. We feature news, topical conversations, and interviews on how people like us live more independent and sustainable lifestyles. Check it out. Hour73.com. Survival skills, DIY, homesteading, gardening, preparedness. It's all in there like ragu. Subscribe to the podcast and join the community at Hour73.com. All right. I believe there was I looked at contest. I wanted to look at our run of show, and I'm like, maybe I'll help Scotty out. You know, he's probably cold sitting in that 25-foot bus of the audio bus. It's kind of a half bus, you know, the short bus, I guess Steve calls it.
I knew that was coming soon.
You knew that was coming. That he sits in the short bus. And I thought, man, look at all these contests. And then I clicked away real fast. I'm like, nah, screw it. What did you find, Scott?
I only picked a couple for the weekend coming up. I guess a couple biggies. We have August 20th and 21st. It's the North American QSO Party single sideband edition. So that ought to irritate the POTA operators next weekend for sure.
It will irritate somebody.
No doubt. So yes, next weekend, North American QSO Party. That's always fun. Always a lot of action. And for you guys with your the gigahertz, there is the 10 gigahertz and up ARRL 10 gig and up contest happening next weekend, the 20th and 21st as well. So that'll get your microwave on. I have yet to dabble with any of that myself yet. I don't really have any gear for microwave
really into
stuff.
It. That's a whole other thing, and I think
it's a whole nother world.
Find some of those people. If you're into that stuff, let us know, because I can only speak for myself. I don't know dick about microwave, but I know the people are putting it together. They're doing it. I know who would know because of his profession. Steve would know about it for sure.
Well, you know about microwave. Everybody knows about microwaves. It's 100 start.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Hot Pockets.
Everybody knows. Hot Pockets.
100 start. Oh, I did have a special event station I wanted to plug real quick too. It's the Gig It. Happening now through August 19th. It's a special event station, November 7, Charlie. It's for the Navajo Code Talkers.
Oh, I love that. My favorite.
Yep.
So N7C special event station happening now through the 19th. So
yep, made a contact with them yesterday.
Nice.
And was participated in a little bit of the Maryland QSO party.
I did not partake in the my home state's QSO party yesterday. I had way too much on my plate to get into it.
Definitely, setting up the
bus
the
rehearsal,
bus, 100 watts,
the whole 9 yards. These mainliners. They're just.
I was waiting on Mark to pick me up at the Browns so we could be out in Missouri for tonight's
show.
show.
Everybody gets picked up in a beautiful bus. It's where
we at the Asia room.
They just say
the Asia room is for the gig.
Okay, that's the gig room. Okay,
that's the gig. Headliners get the Asia room at the Browns.
It's easy to pull in and pull out at the Browns. There you go.
Check out the Discord to get the inside scoop on that.
Inside scoop of the Browns. Okay, so lots of great chatter is happening, and we'll We'll also look at some of the information that came back and some of the data, if you will, from our Facebook group. But looking at our live chat now, and if you have a question, put a Q in front of it. Engineer Scotty will pull those from the 100 Watts in a Wire audio bus, and we'll answer those in just a bit. I just do that to agitate Steve, who is in the sidecar. He wants a sidecar. He wants something with an effing roof, quote unquote. Give me something with a roof.
At least the short bus has a roof.
Sure.
But the sidecar were always air conditioned, so hey,
Touche.
You can go faster. That's true.
the faster you go, the more air conditioning I get.
All right. Let's see if we can figure out some of the people who are here right now. We'll go through some of the answers, and we can see what they would change. That's what we're talking about on this episode. What would be one thing that you would change about ham radio if you could? And lots of good repeater conversations. Thank you all for that very much. Let's see. SCH MIDI. Okay. For those who have a family. That's a question. Okay. We'll leave that go for later on. Let's see how we can go. I'm rolling down these the things as I pull up also. Let me just go ahead over there because I know we've got some things to pull up there, and I'll just get confused myself. We may cross over 15,000 members on Facebook. Thank you all to
Look at that.
folks who join in. There's that number. It's not exact there, but we may go over. If you like Facebook, some people still do. All right, what would you change? DJ, he's a bit of a joker. He's W1UED, but he's not joking about this one, guys. He's saying the so-called Elmers being quick to jump down the throats of new hams who are just trying to learn. Seniority, Steve, go ahead. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah. That actually is kind of my pet peeve right now. It's I was thinking about there's many things in the hobby that kind of, irritate or this or that, or as I was trying to think, what's the one item that I could talk about that would, if I would change it, DJ just nailed it. And it's the hypocrisy of guys like myself who've been in the hobby for a long time, that my generation of operators, we are jumping down on the new people. We're not being helpful. We're just criticizing. We're not, we don't care for any of the new modes. It's like, and then just because they don't do it the conventional way or the accepted norm, let's bring one item up. It's calling CQ on repeaters is typically not an accepted norm. It's you just don't do it. Normally it's like, so-and-so monitoring or this or that. There's some accepted norms on repeaters, but typically calling CQ is not one of those things. And a brand new ham will come in and call CQ on a repeater, and this curmudgeon, one of my fellow classmates, it will start jumping down their throats. And it's like, dude, chill, educate them, tell them it's not the accepted norm, and just, go from there. They're just trying to be part, to fit in and to be part of us. And you just become the biggest douchebag in the world and chase them away. And that's one of those things that just drives me absolutely nuts, that there are guys like me who've been in the hobby forever, or it seems like 40 years, and we're chasing away new people. And then the other aspect of it is, and this comes up a lot, it's CW or not CW, whether your license required you to know CW and demonstrate the proficiency of CW doesn't make me a better ham because I had to pass the CW code test because you didn't have to pass the test. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You pass the test like I did. You passed the test that was required of you at the time you took the test. We're all good. And so guys in my generation, we need to knock it off and be more accepting and teaching, because our job is to prepare the next generation. beyond, because we'll be gone. And then eventually, this next group of people will continue the hobby. And so that's kind of my DJ and I are on the same boat.
Ed here in our live says he would bring in more kids and more programs, and not specifics about that. But some thoughts on bringing in kids. That seems to be for the 7 years or the 7 seasons of this podcast. I can't believe, I can't tell you how many times I've been invited to talk about how to get kids into the thing. And we've talked about it, and it's controversial, and I've said my piece about it. You got to go back a little bit. But it's this question: how do we get the kids in? How do we get the kids in? How do we get the kids in? How do we get? And it's like, and I think we've said it here. At least I've said it. Some of the programs. What could be an interesting program? And bring in Scotty and Steve again on this one too. Are there any programs that come to mind which may help with kids?
None that I'm aware of. It's I didn't really take an interest in ham radio until much, much later in life, and I don't recall even as going to elementary school in the late 70s and then and into the early 80s in junior high and high school in the 80s, there was no mention of amateur radio. It wasn't a thing that was ever even remotely on my radar. So as far as the programs being available, none of I was never exposed to any, and I don't know of really any now, at least not in my area.
We have programs. They're there. Look at Neil, Neil Rapp, and what he's done with, but he's just one guy, and at his school, and sponsoring the club and getting that going. We need more Neils, and but we're also competing with the internet. We're competing with this, and that kids are, fascinated by it, and that's their life. And even when we were, that age, that wasn't there. There was other things that were drawing us. And so it's a tough nut to crack. And we have some programs out there. Carol Perry is another one that comes to mind, that she's teaching a lot of kids and in the hobby. And then there's the Dorothy something middle school in California that is very active and getting kids involved. But those are outliers. They're not the norm. And we got to get more, we got to duplicate more of them and bring the kids into, get their interest, and then letting them go, letting them flourish and thriving into the hobby. But, first, us old farts, we need to change our ways and be more accepting.
I think there's a financial barrier to that as well. It's like, county school systems, state school systems aren't going to put up funding to build a amateur station at a school. So it'd be a volunteer or somebody donated the money to make that happen, and that'd be the only way really to kind of to get the more of them happening in schools. Which would be great. I would love, like you, I would love to see that. I would love to have been introduced to amateur radio when I was in school. Just didn't happen.
We mentioned some of that with we've talked about it on hour 73 a little bit. We can go deeper and probably will about the trade skills the kids in the high schools, and used to be taught how to cook an egg, balance a checkbook, how to do things, and that kind of thing. And now they're not. I think maybe that's a part of it. There are STEM programs. I'm not sure that we're connected to all of them. And I think without opening a huge can of worms, because this is why we do the live interaction thing, because it can actually send you down a rabbit hole that you didn't expect to go to. And that's exciting, and it could derail what we're thinking about too. But I've said it before, and I think that it could be, and I always have to choose my words correctly here, or I'll get email and people be like, "You son of a bitch, go back to Poland or wherever it is, you're damn people." That kind of thing.
Hell out.
I think we have an American problem too. Like our side of the pond, other countries have a lot of different voices, a lot of people who are different, and I think in America we have an interesting American dynamic in amateur radio, I guess is how I want to say that. And my stuff is always rooted in inclusion. We got to get the ladies interested in it. You know, we have to get people that don't look like us, whatever that definition is for you, apply it. And that's kind of my whole bit with that. And tag in the school, the skills, the life skills. And I think that might help. But I don't go around to the Ham Fest to come talk about it. You know, it's my stuff's real easy, man. It's like, you know, let more people in the door that don't look like us, try to appeal to some more ladies, and let's see what happens from there. Maybe put it in schools, but I'm not going to rant. Go ahead, Steve. Mop that up for me. I'm waiting for my emails. I'm just going to log out of the emails now.
Yeah, I'm like you. We need to be inviting, open to everybody. It doesn't matter. That's the thing that's cool about this hobby is that the radio is the great neutralizer. It doesn't matter where you are on the social economic scale or where you come from, what your background is. We're all equal. We're all the same. It doesn't matter if you're Joe Walsh or you're me or you're Scotty. We're all equal. We're all the same. On the radio, we all have this same love for the hobby and things like that. And that's what makes the hobby great in my mind is it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, and what you look like. We don't care. We just you're part of the family.
All right, lots of great conversation. Got a lot of great questions too. Engineer Scotty is pulling those from the 100 watts in a wire audio bus. It is not the short bus. It didn't cost short money. I know. Ask me how. I know. You didn't care or spare any expense. Like, you want to sound good?
That vintage Neve bus certainly was not cheap.
Give me this scroll of stuff that I need. Let me go back over here so I can give you a little bit. All right, brothers and sisters, if you are getting value out of this content, give us a like. That is probably the easiest way to teach this algorithm that you dig what we're doing, and maybe it will turn other people onto it. I've noticed, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I think there's a lot of, you know, we're in this recession. We've got businesses are hurting all around the world. Sponsorships are definitely hard to come by for 100 watts in a wire because they're usually within this small niche. So companies aren't spending money. So to give you an idea, a simple like on this video, comment on it, that sort of thing helps too. But you can also think about other ways that you can support the content you would like. And I just want to let you know an easy one is buy me a coffee. You could buy the three of us a coffee, almost the same thing. Buymeacoffee.com, and we probably have the link down below. You don't need any signups. You don't need no accounts. You donate whatever you like. Check that out, and you can support the community and the content that you enjoy. And I think we have to move toward a community-supported thing. It doesn't have to be a big donations or a big push for that. And I'm one over the years that people usually have to tell me, like, don't forget. Tell them you got t-shirts. Tell them you got a whole shop full of stuff, man. It'll help you out. What I did last year, for the better part of last year, the end of it, I gave all the money away. Got the money and gave it away. And now I tell Steve, like, I don't know, man. I probably shouldn't have done that. And here we are. But so think about community-supported stuff. We always tell you to support the ham radio companies because they're hurting too. And they can't get out ahead to sponsor podcasts, at least not all of them, and the smalls can't do that. Visit 100wattsinawire.com and click support and see if there's anything that you would like to t-shirt, hats, thumbs up, it all does it. Scotty's live from the 100 watts in a wire audio bus. He's got some stuff about Hamfest. I can't believe there's still Hamfest going on. Each week he surprises me. He finds them.
Managed to dig them up somehow.
He digs them up.
I was just out one last weekend. Couple I picked off the ARRL site. We have the Huntsville Hamfest. It's the ARRL Southeastern Division. Begin in Huntsville, Alabama. That's happening. It's a 2-day event, August 20 and 21. You can find out more at hamfest.org. That's their website for that one. And then one up in Don's neck of the woods, Don Z, one of our net operators in Brainerd, Minnesota. Brainerd Tailgate Hamfest happening August 20th. And you can find out more about that at brainerdham.org as well.
All right. Well, thank you. Live from the 100 Watts and Wire audio bus. Just sort of an old retired school bus. They called it a short bus back in his, but he's converted it completely with a great sounding board and is,
We like to call them a mobile truck.
yeah,
It's a short bus.
a mobile
Short bus,
truck.
but it's
Yeah, okay, we'll get away from
mobile
the
truck.
because it does kind of diminish the great thing that we do as an engineer for this show and the other one. If you have a question, put a Q in front of it. We can tackle those in just a little bit. Do you want to look a little bit more while we're? Let's talk about. Let's say we can bring it back up. Come on now. Let's get it back up here and see. Oh, we'll go back over here. Let's see. We were talking about things that you would change, and maybe we can hit another one and take your questions if you guys have any. Put a Q in front of it. Let's see. RE says, as a general rule, I think currently amateur radio is pretty good as it is. I could use less of the type of stuff on 7200 is known for unless I was here first. Operators when conditions change and propagation moves. 7.3. And less of the 7.3, 73, 73s debate, K1AUS. So he started off with, I think it's pretty good. I don't have any kind of problems with it. And then he goes deep into, but
Then he went deep.
I got three or
Not
four.
just one, multiples. That was awesome.
But alas, there was a problem after all.
Steve, let's talk about 7.3, 73s, 7.3. What did I miss? I missed one of them. Let's talk about that, how crazy that all is.
I can't believe that just people are getting their panties wadded up over it. I mean, honestly. Okay, it's 7.3. It was just, that was used in the CW days and in today in CW, when you say best regards, 7.3. Well, in the voice world, we kind of added a little flair to it. Super. So we now have 73s or 7/3, and it's like, who cares? Why make a big old fuss? We have bigger problems to solve than 73s. It's like, just take it as a sentiment that is being presented and go with it. Just don't get your panties wadded up over it. It's ridiculous.
It's a tomato thing.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what Earl Bailey has to say.
Whether you say 7.3 or 73, even 73s, we're still 100 watts and a wire.
That's right. And that's
Way to go, Earl.
Nice. God. And there's a prominent ham out there. I'm not going to throw any shade and I'm not going to put his name out there. But yeah, he was very specific about you cannot, it is 7.3 or 73, not 73s. And I was like, oh my, I'm going to write this down.
If you're going to the tradition, it is 7.3. That is the tradition. But who cares? It's the same thing as people using Q signals or Q codes on voice. It's strictly a CW deal. Well, my QTH is blah, 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 blah. But on voice, you can just say, well, my location is. But we stay to the tradition of, we say Q codes. So QTH, QRZ, QRM, QRN, QRO, QRP. And it's part of the tradition, but don't get too wound up over it. Yeah, it started in the CW world, but who cares if we use it on voice? And that's the same thing with 7.3. And it's, if you say it in the plural, awesome. If you say it in the singular, awesome. It just, I don't get it. Why people want to make a big old fuss? Maybe they just want to bitch about something, complain about it because they don't have anything else to do in life, and they're miserable.
You know what my favorite Chris Farley always said?
Don't you know any other goddamn tune?
All right. Let's take some questions. Thank you, Chris. Let's take some questions. James asks, Kilo India 5, Oscar Echo, Bravo. Inverted V, end-fed half-wave tuning. I have a 24-foot fiberglass electrical line pole as a center mast. What should I cut the antenna wire initially? I have an MFJ 269. What should it look like while tuning it up? Or what should he look like or while he's tuning it up?
Well, so what band are you gonna go on for one? But if you know what band you're gonna go and you use the formula to figure out a half wavelength, which is 468 over frequency. So then I would cut it a little on the long side. So if it's you need 66 feet of wire, then I would probably go 68 feet total, which would make it 34 foot on each leg. And then you can see where you're with your analyzer, you can see where it tunes up at. And it's a lot easier to shorten the wire than it is to lengthen it. You could get out your left-handed cable stretcher and lengthen it, but it's easier just to shorten it up. So cut it long, which will mean that it'll resonate lower in frequency than where you are. So if you set it up for 40 meters, 34 foot on each leg, it will probably have it resonate below 7 megahertz, which is fine. And then you just kind of shorten it up and you shorten it up by 6 inches or on each leg at a time, and then just recheck and then go from there until you get it in tune. When you're shortening it up, don't let the wire hang down. You put a few wraps on the end, and then just kind of let it dangle there. You don't want any danglies. You just want to bring it all the way back up onto the wire. Danglies are not good because they will throw off your frequency.
Oh, that's right. Wrap it back onto itself and get it sorted out. Another question. Let's see. For those who have a family, how has your ham radio hobby been accepted by spouse, kids, sibling? Does it bring you closer together? Is it a wedge or source of conflict? Or it is what it is? Let's start.
You forgot all the above.
Depends on the day, right? Yeah.
It has been accepted. Kids have accepted it. Siblings have accepted it. I don't know if it has brought us closer together. And sometimes it has been a wedge and a source of conflict here. Even though my wife has her ticket too. So
That's
all
just
of the
great.
above.
That's great.
Dynamite!
Scotty, from the 100 Watts and a Wire audio bus, what do you think of that? Has your hobby been accepted by your spouse or partner? Lover?
I think
Close friend?
I think she's finally just accepted that it's a part of my life. It's what I'm gonna do occasionally, and ignore her occasionally while I'm doing it. And it's acceptance. I don't think it's driven a wedge. She has no desire to get into this. It's my thing that I do, and she has her thing that she can do, and that's pretty much where it lies in this household.
Well, if it could be, if I'm going to spend a little time away from you, dear, then it's either I could be at the bar or I can be in the ham shack.
It could be a lot worse.
What do you want?
Here's a question from James. Question: do people think it's too hard? Oh, I don't know where that's coming from, James. But thanks. I got to go to HR now.
Was that enhanced by a blue pill or not?
Or yeah. David asked, 73rds is an abomination? Question mark.
I saw Mark in the chat says, 7/3. I'm adopting that.
7/3.
Yeah. I've had a friend that used that, and it was just that was his style of ending the conversation. and I just accepted it for what it was. And it was, but you know, the sentiment was there, and so yeah, 7/3.
You know, I heard Ward Silver, and to Daniel's point in the chat, I find a lot of people, he says, quote, I find a lot of people in our hobby like to find reasons to get bent out of shape over little things. And that, just saying that reminds me of Ward Silver, and I can't remember his call sign. I have a book with his name on it. He's a very smart guy.
AX,
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, N0X. That's it. I have his
Been
grounding
on
and
the show
bonding book.
before, and he lives close by. He's in Missouri. And you know, he said something. I guess it was a talk or something. Maybe it was during the interview that I did with him. And he said, you know, everybody's generation, whenever you came into ham radio, was the best, you know, time in ham radio. Those were the best times. And I think that people who are in it longer start to see new people come in and things change. New contests come in. POTA comes in. You've got the Browns Hotel. These nitwits talking on Sunday night. I can't have, you know, because we weren't there when they started up.
FT8.
FTA.
yeah.
Think it
Oh,
all. I'll kill you.
Oh, that's almost like the
Them's
CW Awards.
them's fighting words.
Oh my god! I just saw one. As you know, I peruse QRZ, the forums, and someone lost their mind over the timestamp. I guess someone was off by 0.7 of a second or something. I just, and then you have to point out that I noted 13 operators in the last 1 hour of going through FTA, and 12 of them were extra class. It's like, okay,
And more than 1 second off the clock.
yeah, and they were off. And not knowing about FTA, I'm like, oh, what's the problem? I will be educated. Yes, you can educate me on that. But it was like, really? You're getting butthurt over a little time? I don't get it.
Speaking of driving a family wedge, I've got some company in town. He doesn't seem to understand.
Could you turn that racket down? I'm trying to iron in here.
Okay, we'll turn that right down for you. We'll turn that right for you. Cheesecake Steve in Philadelphia, you're saying to yourself, isn't it Cheesesteak Steve? Not this guy. Cheesecake Steve. He says, what about 5'9" into the repeater? U3 ACT.
You're 5'9".
You're 5'9". I hear that all the time. You're 5'9" into the repeater. Locally, and in New York, I didn't hear it as much. Okay.
Yeah, I don't really hear that here either. Full quieting is what the
Full
folks around here say.
Typically, yeah. What, you know, your signal is like 20 over. It's pegging the needle, but boy, you're noisy. I don't get it.
There's a couple of guys that use the S meter on the regular. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you're pretty quiet. S7, full quieting. Like, okay.
And they're not like the young guys. You know, it's not like we're listening to the young folks talk. They're just guys that are in their way and doing what they've done for whatever long. And I always grew up, you know, you didn't challenge the elders, and you know, you respected your elders, and they knew the most, and you'd sit around like a Neil Young song, like the leaves around the tree, and you listen. But I gotta tell you, like some elders are assholes. I mean, you know, some old people are not. You know, they're just like
curmudgeony.
No, you gotta like. I don't know if I should respect you. I'm trying. You're kind of a dingbat. Peace and love. Peace and love. But thank you for joining us, Daniel. It's I think new to see you here, and hello to Steve, James, and everybody who's come. After we record the live podcast, which we're going to wrap up here shortly, we appreciate you and invite you to always come 6 o'clock Central Time to the live stream and join us. Check in, tell us what you're feeling, and just like what happened tonight, it's great. It takes us in different directions. We can open up the conversation to more voices, and we post the podcast for your listening enjoyment on the train or the plane or however you like to consume the podcast. But you're always invited on Sunday nights. Cool way to end the night. And then we go into live coverage of the 100 Watts and Wire Sunday Evening Net. And we've got Paul and 2HYG will be running tonight, and Don Casey0DWZ. You can check in with them if you like. Scotty's probably going to do some FT8 from the 100 Watts in a Wire audio bus.
Blasphemous.
Make sure your clock is synchronized.
Oh, I go to time.is every time before I'll fire it up.
So stick around for that. Also, anybody who's come by now, we appreciate anybody who's come now. Check out hour73.com. We're going to be on YouTube doing some live. It's not going to be exclusively an amateur radio podcast, but people who are interested in preparedness, self-reliance in these wacky times, forget about the ideologies and the roads that got you there to preparedness. We're not really interested in that. I'm coming for the skills, from gardening to homesteading. We may be live streaming tomorrow the show just to try it out. I expect, engineer Scotty, this was another reason he got this sort of bus, is because he's like, I'm working on 2 podcasts.
Two podcasts. I'm so overwhelmed and stressed out. I need the bus. I need the bus.
You're so demanding. So I need to ask for $60,000. I was like, Jesus. It all boiled down to that ass.
Yes, my son.
We laid it in there. It was a pretty good one.
And some gummies.
And some gummies. That's easier to do. We get that medicinals from Pastor Joe. He seems to have a good, steady supply. I don't think they question the pastors. And the smells of New York City, that's something else nowadays. My God, it smells great. I mean, you got an open joint right there on the street. And I'm thinking, wow. I mean, back in my day, when we had to go around the back of the school and near the basketball hoop over the wall to smell that, that kind of thing. But nowadays it's just right down the street. I'm like, wow, it's everywhere. It's like a festival or something.
It's like cars that go down Main Street and then they have their windows down and it's just wafting out. And it's just like, wow, we're just driving around stoned here in Ellicott City.
It's wacky. And it's early in the morning. People are just doing their thing. And I'm not judging. I don't care. I'm just like, wow, the smell is just like, and it's close. You're like, it's that lady. So in our community, it's Pastor Joe. And, it's either that or he's talking about Paul's,
Yang.
Yang. Yeah,
Uncle Paul's Yang.
Uncle Paul's Yang.
Pastor Joe has a fascination with Uncle Paul's Yang. I don't get it, but that's okay. We still love you, Pastor Joe.
Yeah, do what you want with somebody else's Yang. It's if you're the Yang to the Yang, that's on you. This is the kind of stuff we do in the live coverage. It gets a little floppy, I must admit. Go to Hour 73 on YouTube. Click the notification bell, because if we do
They're
go
serious
live,
over
I'd
there.
love to have you there. Would love to have you there. And subscribe wherever you get podcasts. We're just getting cooking. And tomorrow we're supposed to be talking about, on the next episode, your medical kits. Getting together your basic medical kit for regular types of people will be the conversation on that. So come on, bring it on over, and we'll see you there. If you're preparedness minded, I think that's what you want to do. All right, I think we fooled them again, guys. We're getting right up to the top of the hour. We gotta let the people go and handle our business. So I'll say 73 for now. Take care of yourselves. Stay cool, because wherever you may be, the temperatures have been heating up. And hopefully we get a break here shortly. But I'll say 73. Thanks to the guys for coming. Steve, any final thoughts?
No, that's it. 7-3, everyone. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you joining us every week.
Scotty, 73 to you, sir. We'll see you in the after show.
Pleasure as always. 7/3, everyone.
73rds. Take care of yourselves. And by all means, if you can, please try and stay above the noise. 73.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsinawire.com.